Yes.
Yep.
Oh my God. We're live on the YouTubes until we get banned. It's coming any day now, I'm sure. Sure all the YouTube people are watching us constantly. They're like, that show, we're gonna ban it just as soon as it's okay to ban conservative outlier voices from the internet.
Just like there's always an FBI guy watching your phone.
There is always an FBI guy watching my
you can talk
phone.
to him. Hi, Dave.
Tim, I don't think you are aware of some of the seditious things that I have thought and done in this lifetime.
I am not aware of them and cannot comment on any.
Cannot comment on the validity of all of these things you're saying. I don't have a good ad for this week. You have an ad off the top of your head?
No.
I got it.
Okay.
All the people watching live, and by that I mean nobody, are like, these guys are fuck ups. This week's episode of Here's What I Don't Get is brought to you with limited commercial interruption by generous support from viewers like you, and also a tremendous amount of funding from the government that was stolen from your pocket. So thank you twice. Welcome back to Here's What I Don't Get, from north to south, east to west, the only intercontinental podcast to tackle all of life's toughest issues and the longest consecutively running podcast on the See You Next Tuesday Podcast Network and the Carl Podcast Network. I am your host, Ted Burke, coming to you live from the most dangerous city in America, and joining me from way back home, Betty Bye, in the most milquetoast city in America, it's Tim the Handlebreaker.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I've been jet setting around the world. And boy has that been a thing. I have got a great story for the podcast this week.
Yeah.
You will not believe what happened to me, except maybe you probably will, because it happened in your city.
Yeah. Tim is a nationwide cat food delivery man.
Yes.
And
yes.
People think that like cat food just appears, but it doesn't. Someone's got
to deliver it. Yeah.
He's been subcontracting his last big delivery. He had to subcontract out to another delivery boy. It's amazing. It's amazing work that's going on.
Yeah.
How have you been since last time? The last time you were on the podcast, you were here.
I was here.
Yeah.
And then, which was funny because, so I don't know if you remember, but we were drinking during the show. At least I was.
Yes.
I had a Mike's tall boy.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then the next morning, I woke up drunk.
Yeah. Did you
not hungover, drunk? I did take an allergy med. And usually, I mean, I've taken allergy meds and alcohol before together, and it usually hasn't done anything. But I woke up that morning and I could not walk in a straight line.
Wow.
It was weird.
And then he went straight to work.
Yes. I had to.
We've all been there. We've all done that. Yeah. That's wild stuff that would affect you so potently.
Yeah.
The next night I drank a lot, and so did a lot of people. Basically.
So did a lot of people.
Yeah. We had a big cookout. I still reminisce about how good those steaks turned out.
They were pretty good.
I made some flank steak this week. I marinated and grilled it. And then, so it was 2 flank steaks that I got with this half a steer that I went in with.
Yeah.
And so I cooked both steaks. I cut them both in half, and I had half fresh. And then today I took the leftover last half of a half and sliced it into real thin strips, melted some butter in a skillet, got it like not hot, but just warm,
Yeah.
and just kind of like laid all the strips down one by one, flipped them all over, and then just pulled them out and threw them on a plate, and they were like perfectly kind of like
Yes.
reheated, but still the outsides were now cooked again, but the inner core was still just barely medium rare.
Mm-hmm.
But the butter helped like keep the meat real soft. It was pretty good. I really do enjoy some of that. I love steak. I just love steak too much.
I mean, the worst steak there is like, like I have round steak, which is barely steak.
Mhm.
And I mean, you put a tasty marinade on that and grill it up. It's gonna be a chewy steak.
Yeah,
But it's gonna be steak.
it's edible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here in a couple weeks, the 21st, I'm going to be doing my first live demo of glass blowing.
Nice.
The class that I'm taking right now, it was the idea of the guy that one of the operators of the studio to have a demo where the spring class goes up against the summer class in a competition, team versus team.
Mhm.
And so each team will make something, anything they want. They'll put it up for the audience to cheer, whichever side which gets the loudest cheering
Mhm.
wins. Their piece gets to go into the annealer to survive for another day. The other team's piece will get destroyed in front of everyone.
That's awesome.
So it's pretty high stakes. Here's the fucked up thing, though. I would like to point out: if we win, we won because we're the best.
Yeah.
If we lose, it's because we're taking a 6-week course. The spring people took a 8-week course.
Mhm.
The third Friday that we'll be doing this demo will be on week 5 of our 6-week course.
Ooh.
And they have been working together in the studio since they finished their course, I think 6 or 7 weeks ago. So they've got a big head start on us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, well, no, it's fair, and they have more people, but it's fair because you people have like a lot of experience before taking the class, and I'm like, that seems irrelevant to the point. So I have to have my argument, my Donald Trump arguments ready for if we lose. But
Mhm.
then I'm gonna be like, that's right, we won with 5 weeks of training, you motherfucker. Y'all been doing this for like 14 weeks. We did it in 5. Fuck you.
Yeah.
No, I'll take their 900-degree piece in my bare hands and just throw it on the ground, and I'll take those like 3rd-degree burns and as like a point of pride. I'll be like, fuck you, I got my 3rd-degree hand burns from smashing your shit. I entered him.
It's a good burn. It's a good burn.
That is a good burn.
The burn of victory.
It should be fun though.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. So if you're in the St. Louis area and you want to come see some live glass blowing on the 21st, let me know.
You want to see Tab get hot and sweaty.
That's
Well,
true.
you
I
also
do
get
very
hot and sweaty.
Yeah.
If you're in the audience, you will get hot and sweaty.
Oh yeah, because you went to the one last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very warm. Anyway, well, I don't know. What else do we have to catch up on?
Well, why don't I tell you what happened to me the last time I was in your city?
Okay, yeah.
So I had a cat food delivery,
Mhm.
and on the way back home, we had to stop we had a layover in St. Louis, and
To get some of that tobacco flavored cat food for some of those
yes,
owners.
yes.
You gotta
Well, we
stock up.
had to get the smokes for the cats.
Mhm.
So I I flew out last time when I visited you, and it is not a nice airport.
No.
It was 4 in the morning last time, and they didn't have the AC on.
That's so in St. Louis, people are very proud of themselves. They're like, yeah, I haven't even turned my AC on at all this year. And I'm like, dude,
Why?
I turned my AC on in April. I set it
Uh-huh.
to 68 degrees and I haven't fucking touched it.
Yeah.
They're so proud that they can like live with and I'll admit the weather's been fairly nice.
Mhm.
And a lot of them are like, well, we leave the window open for the this or that, and I can't leave the windows open because the cats will knock the screens out. But even still, like I might leave the window open at night on a nice day, but I would still run the AC during the day just to keep all that like stank and funk out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, they're so fucking
Absolutely.
proud of themselves. It's mind blowing.
Anyways, so I'm in the St. Louis International Airport, and I'm sitting there having dinner, drinking a beer, watching my flight get delayed over and over and over on the app
Mm-hmm.
by about 2.5 hours total at the end. And uh, so I'm sitting there eating, and we're drinking, and I'm there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we're like, okay, well, let's go sit over by the gate. And so I put my backpack down by the gate, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna take a visit to the little boys' room. And I look around, and I find the closest one, and I walk to it, and I walk inside, and it's the most rank, foul smelling public bathroom I've ever been in, including summertime uh Oklahoma porta potties.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. There's strike one.
That is a strike. That's a definite strike.
That's yeah, definite strike. Strike two is as I'm walking in, I pass a stall that is clearly like the door is all the way open, and something has happened. Uh, like all of the seat covers have been taken out and put on the seat, like in a 3-4 inch high pile, and are all damp, like fully wet. Something has happened.
Someone
That's
must have pulled those out and just like pissed on them.
I
See, in
well,
my mind, I feel you take the whole stack out, you just put it right
uh-huh,
there on the seat, and then when you sit down, you just peel yours off and throw it away.
yeah.
That way, it's fresh for the next guy. But
Well,
some ne'er do well came in there and just peed on him.
yeah. Well, save your thoughts for the rest of the story. That's strike two, though, right? So I get into the adjoining stall, right?
Mhm.
Strike three, no lock.
Oh, so you're shitting with one leg out.
With yes, well, I would be because I'm about to sit down. I'm halfway in the sitting down motion when now here's where things get a little bit fuzzy because I'm not sure exactly what happened. I have a pretty good idea based on the what I saw in the adjoining stall. As I'm sitting down, water starts shooting up from that adjoining toilet. What I'm pretty sure was that adjoining toilet straight into the ceiling like a geyser, raining down water into the ceiling,
Oh my
and
god!
subsequently
Onto you.
me.
Oh dear lord!
And it's going for like the length of a
I,
flush.
I just imagine you like, it's an in-swinging door. You outswing the door, just boom, straight out. You're at a teller. You got the teller by the collar. You're like, get me the fuck out of this city. I don't care what city. You're going to talk now. Oklahoma City, Denver, Boston. I don't give a shit. Just put me on a fucking plane. Get me the fuck out of the city. I can't handle. The St. Louis curse was trying to get you, Tim. It was trying to get you like it got me.
I know. So my hair is soaked, my shirt's soaked, my jeans are wet. The first thing I did was I once
Threw those clothes away.
Well, no, the first thing I did was check the color of the water because there was enough water that there was pooling and spillage. Luckily, it was clear. I'm not saying that it was clean water because it was a rotten St. Louis public bathroom, but it was running clear. That's something. It's something. There's no significant colorage to the water.
Yeah, that's a good starter. That was when my basement flooded. I was like, well, at least it's clear water.
Right. So I step out of the stall. No one gave a shit. The bathroom was full. Like there was people rotating in and out. No one gave a shit. Like nothing had happened. And I'm looking straight into the mirror because the sinks were right across from the stalls. And I sort of take a deep breath and I walk out and I do and there's no sort of official anywhere near. I can't like so
I
I'm
didn't
like
have one of those little kiosks that was like rate your bathroom experience, and like the left is a green happy
Yeah.
face and the right is a red unhappy face, and then they kind of like fade in between.
No,
Yeah.
there wasn't one of those. And then
Where you
second
just
thing,
pick that thing up and just smash it into the fucking
yeah.
ground. What do you think now?
Second thing I think is well, I checked my luggage.
Oh,
So I couldn't even change into a pair of like dirty used clothes.
yeah.
So I turn the corner and go into the Hudson store next door and grab a hoodie and buy the hoodie. And I asked the guy, I said, "Hey, can you contact facilities?" And he had no idea. Like he clearly something has happened. He was like, "I don't know what to do, bud." And so
Sorry, I'm from St. Louis. I'm legally retarded.
yes. So I took the hoodie and I walked back into the bathroom and I took my shirt off, used what was dry of it to sort of dry off what I could, used some paper towels to dry off, threw my shirt away.
Wait. What would the hoodie say?
I have it. It's right behind me.
Okay.
So I thought it was a Cardinals hoodie.
Yeah.
It was pointed out to me that it was not. Like 30 minutes with 30 like past 30 minutes past this event. Like
Mhm.
I just did not care what I was getting. But what I do have is a commemorative reminder of the place that it took place.
I was really hoping that it said "I heart St. Louis." So
Um,
you got the St. Louis hello, where they drain your gas tank, and now the St. Louis goodbye, where they spray shit water all over you.
yeah. So I threw my shirt away, put the hoodie on, dried off as much as I could, and then had to sit there and wait for the plane for another 2 hours.
You should come to Babes. I was trying to tell you, we drank a lot of beers. If only you had listened. Well, that's a story for the ages.
Yeah.
Curse of St. Louis strikes again. I think we might have the name of the episode as well. Are you ready to get into your real issue this week?
I am.
What is your issue this week?
Here's what I don't get. Being Nostradamus. I have a theory about Nostradamus, Tab.
Yeah.
That was that Nostradamus was just a slightly smarter than average man.
Probably.
There was no prophet. It's just that everyone around him was either if not dumb out of mentality, just plain stubborn. And I just don't like doing something over after so I'm the new guy at the cat food delivery place.
Yeah.
Somehow, despite us having hired 3 people after me, new guy.
Because those people were cat food delivery people for a while in the past.
That's part of it. One of them just didn't show up to work, and the other one
so they hired a guy, and they just never showed up.
Well, there was a phone call that was like, I can't be a cat food delivery driver right now, and then did come into work.
Wow.
The most recent one lasted about a week. And then there was a guy that was hired after me, and then a couple months, like 2 months in, was like, I don't like the I don't like the cat food here. I thought I was gonna get nice, delicious, tasty cat food, and so he left. But I mean, if I have a strong, solid idea, I will voice it. I know that I know enough.
It'd be like, hey guys, here's what I'm thinking. I've been thinking that with the number of ovens, there's no way we could make this many pizzas in such a short number of time.
Yes, and it's and do you guys remember the last time we tried to make 50 pizzas at once?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to use all of the ovens, and then but then the guy's like, no, we're just gonna use half the ovens. It's fine. You use half the ovens, and I mean, it'll make it. And I'm thinking like, well, the last time we had to make 50 pizzas, and this time we have to make 50 pizzas in an even shorter amount of time. I think we should use all the ovens.
Yeah.
And then they insist on using half the ovens. And then halfway through the cooking time, they're like, we need these pizzas fast. Well, let's turn on all the ovens and then let's use all the ovens.
Yeah.
And then you're Nostradamus. You're like, I called it. I don't like it, but I called it.
Yeah.
Except you're the one making all 50 pizzas. I'm also the one making all 50 pizzas.
I that's driven me crazy for a long time because we've talked about it on the show, like just calling shot after shot after shot, and just nobody ever listens,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Like they don't even care. In the end, you don't even get a like, hey Tim, you were right. We probably should have used all 50 ovens to begin with.
No. The conversation is like, gosh, this is like the fourth time that we've only used half the ovens when we should have used all of them. Crazy how this keeps happening. We should have learned our lesson last time.
But nobody ever does. Humanity has been turned into being incapable of making any kind of like advancement, I think. And I don't know what's done it. I don't know what's done it, but something in the water, or maybe it's the fluoride, has just made us all collectively dumber.
I don't know, man. It's part of me thinks that it's a lack of willing to take ownership of your own misdeeds or what faults or whatever.
Extremely true. The theater group that I've complained about in the past because they don't ever have a plan on how they're going to do their shit. It's almost like so you and me, we're somewhere above 100 as the average IQ. We're somewhere above that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact number is, but it's high enough that like if you and I were to bake a cake and we made a couple of mistakes and putting together the recipe and the cake came out poorly, the next time we made a cake, we would make an effort not to make that same, like, it's like, oh, I'm going to use cornstarch instead of flour. And then you need this is awful. And you know what? Maybe this time I'll use flour instead of cornstarch, and you use the flour, but you cook it for like 3 times longer than it needs to be cooked. And so it comes out as this like burning hockey puck. And it's like, maybe I should cook it for less time.
Yeah, I got 2 words for you: pattern recognition.
Pattern recognition. Well, this theater group, they talk about their next season. So this year, the first show of the year was a very simple set. Very simple set, loaded in very quickly. We didn't have any problems. They painted it, all done. Good to go. Second show of the year, they hired this senior designer who over-designed this massive set that they weren't really able to execute because they don't have the manpower or the technical expertise to do so.
Yeah.
We had to bail their asses out at the last second. Third show of the year, they did a musical, and musicals take a lot more production than a regular play. And so had a lot of problems. So like the cake analogy, these people, they're talking about their next show for next season in September, coming off on the tail of this renovation, which everyone expects could go long, which will thus limit the amount of time they have in our space. So they hired the scenic designer that over designs everything, and they're staging a musical. And it's like, It's like they made a bad cake where they used cornstarch, and then they made a bad cake where they overcooked it. And they're like, "Well, this time we'll use cornstarch and overcook it, and
yeah.
maybe it'll turn out fine."
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's gonna be a fucking flaming hot inedible hockey puck
Yeah.
again. And then yeah, I'm sitting here in like, you know, end of June when we found this information out, just being like, well, this is going to be a fucking terrible disaster. And we're going to fast forward to the end of September when the show loads out, and it's going to be like, boy, that was a fucking disaster. No fucking kidding. If only someone could have possibly seen this coming. I feel like that a lot with that specific group, because they absolutely will refuse to learn from anything.
Yeah.
And I've just been like, I just call my shots so far ahead of time on everything that they're going to fuck up. And then fucking sure enough, they fuck it all up. And they're like, oh, we're going to hire a TD. We're really going to hire a TD. And it's like, you need a lot more than a TD. You need like a whole production staff
whole
of people
team,
that aren't
yeah.
worthless. And then, of course, it doesn't happen to you, but I get labeled as the bad guy. Didn't Nostradamus get killed? Maybe I'm thinking of Aristotle, but
You're thinking of Aristotle.
yeah, like, oh hey, I thought of this thing before you did. Like, oh well, you are a bad person because you thought of this thing and you're not supporting us correctly. Tim, you should just have been a team player and just cooked the 50 pizzas and not complained, instead of pointing out that we need 50 ovens, which you were right about.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is like, you know, being the new guy, it's like when I hear the phrase like, yeah, this happens every time, it's
yeah, that's with this theater group that everyone says, they're like, oh, this is the way it's been for 15 years.
Yeah.
Why is it like that though?
Yeah.
It could not be like that. If people took some fucking care and initiative, it could not be like that. It could be different.
Yeah.
And it seems like older people, like old hands at things, they'll be like, you're so young and naive and stupid. That's the way I felt running the union out there, where it's just like, why do we have this terrible payroll company? Well, because we've always had that terrible payroll company. Well, yeah, but we could do a new one. Like, those are such crazy ideas. You got such wild ideas.
Yeah, I think that's why, like, you know, boomers and, you know, some of the older Gen Xers are so confused on why younger people job hop so much.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, like, this is the thing, like, everyone runs into. Like, you run into the boomers like not wanting to change. And so, well,
Trucking and Tucking and I got fired from a job because we tried to
try too hard.
We tried too hard.
Yes.
We worked this was like right after high school. We worked for this party supply store. And it was a small local store in Tulsa. And so they had the aisle, like everyone's been to a Party City or a Party Galaxy or whatever it is near you. And, you know, you go in the aisle and it's like, here are our colored stuff. And it's like big plates, little plates, forks, knives, spoons, different sizes of napkins, cups, you know, and they're all one color. And it'll be like a little row or a column of that color.
Yes.
And then it'll be like black, white, and then it'll be the color spectrum from like red all the way to blue, or blue all the way to red, whatever order they're in, right? And so you'll go in there and be like, oh, we're doing a party and we want to do, you know, we're doing like Green Bay Packers colors. We want green and gold, or we're gonna do like the Pittsburgh Steelers. We want gold and black. And so you'll like go mix and match as you need or whatever. Like you try and match your theme. And so back in the back where we stored the excess colored napkins, Trucking and Tucking and I wanted them to be sorted by color in relation to how they go on the wall, so that you could walk into the back and be like, oh, we're out of black large napkins. We need to order those next time. And so we like, and then there was also mixed in with all the solid colors were all the like random themes for like, you know, Paw Patrol, Superman, Batman. And then there'd be like this shelf of a discontinued theme that nobody ever bought. And we're like, hey, what if we took all these discontinued things
chips
and sold them for something?
Like,
you know,
kids don't know who Eric Estrada is. Why do we have the chips plates?
Well, it might be coming back. It might be coming back, Tab and Trucking and Tucking. And
it did. And it did come back with Dax Shepard and what's his face from that 70s show.
Boy, did we look stupid. And so yeah, we were like we pushed too hard to try and make things better, and then we got fired one day, just like completely unannounced.
Yeah.
And it was actually very satisfying to be fired. It wasn't like getting fired from a job when you get fired and you were sad. We had a party that night. The three
Yes.
of us got together and we
Yeah.
were like, thank God it's over. We were finally free. And it's just been nothing but an upward trajectory since then. Because it was, and then they went out of business, and they went out of business because their store was dingy and not well stocked, and like all
Mhm.
that. The store had this reputation of being like run down.
Yeah.
And when you compare it to, nobody wants to go to the corporate party city run by Warren Buffett, but it's like, well, I know
Mhm.
that they'll have what I need, and I know that their fucking store won't be dirty when I get there.
They'll have bright lights.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I remember. I just remember every time I went in, like it was always like the store wasn't like it wasn't bright. You know, I just remember. That's my first like thought. It was like it's not like the white um of a like a you know, what are the fluorescent light bulbs?
Mhm.
It's like a dark yellowish brownish color. is what I recall.
Another thing we tried to do was, so we had costumes, because Halloween costumes were a big thing, right? And the Halloween costumes were just like, pack as many of these onto a peg as you possibly can. So every
Yeah.
peg had like 3 packages hanging
Mhm.
off the front edge, about to fall off. For whatever reason, we pulled the accessories out of the packages, labeled them, and put them in boxes randomly sorted in the back, instead of being like sorted in any kind of sensical manner. So someone would be like, "Yeah, I'd like to buy this costume." And be like, "Oh yeah, it comes with like Boba Fett's blaster," and you go back there to find Boba Fett's box to get the blaster, and it's just fucking lost to the sands of time. And then they're like, "Well, I'm not gonna pay full price if I can't get Boba Fett's blaster with this." And it's like, all right, well, I guess you can go to Party City where they just have them in stock and
Yeah.
properly
Yeah.
packaged. So one of the things we tried to do was just the aisle where the customers could see it, instead of having 30 of a package where you have to like pull them all off to find your size. We organized them where they were all like nice and lined up, and every peg had just this one of each size: small, medium,
Mhm.
large, extra large, whatever the sizes were. And then if you sold one, you could just go get another one from the back and hang it back up
Yeah.
in the spot. And it was very easy to sort through. And they were like, no, 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 no. Put this all back the way it was. Put this all back into a big clusterfuck. And it's like, this is why you went out of business.
Mhm.
Sorry that I tried to make things better, but they wouldn't listen to us because we were 19 or 20,
Yeah.
19, I guess. And um like they didn't think we had any kind of business acumen, but people, you know, well, I don't know. I don't want to say we like predicted their downfall, because it did take them like 10 more years to go out of business, but it was
Mhm.
definitely on a downward
It was a
trajectory from that
slow
point.
death.
Yeah. And it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating to call those things ahead of time and
Yeah.
not even necessarily get credit. Like, you don't want to be like, "Oh,
No,
Tim,
of
you
course.
really,"
No.
but to just have someone acknowledge the fact that you were right. That's
Mhm.
why I love. I realize it's petty and it's like a personal failing, but I love being right,
Yeah.
and I love
Same.
when someone acknowledges that I'm right in the future, because
Yeah.
that means that they had to admit that they don't have to admit that they're wrong, but they were wrong,
Yeah.
which is important. It's important to admit when you're wrong, and that's why when I'm wrong, I try and admit things. I try and admit that to people, because as long as I want it from people, I figure I should also give it out to the
Mhm.
world.
Yeah.
Do you have anything more you want to say about being Nostradamus?
Yeah, I think well, I don't want to spoil it for the people, but I think I know what your issue is.
Oh
Because I can
yeah.
see the future.
Oh, and not because we discussed it beforehand.
No, no, no. Absolutely not.
Well, you ready to? I guess that brings us to the middle of our episode, which means it's time for.
This episode is brought to you in part by the Ricky the News Network. Definitely not fake news.
Well, Tim, what news do we have today? I'm just assuming you
Uh
have news.
yeah, I do.
Oh, good.
Our first news story comes to us from Nevada. Usually the kind of crime is usually centered around Las Vegas, of course, in Nevada. But there's some stuff going on in Lake Tahoe. The police in Lake Tahoe are on the lookout for a prowler who they say has been breaking into hotel rooms and fondling women's feet. They say they're investigating 2 separate reports from this past week from a hotel resort there in Lake Tahoe. They said that 2 different women reported waking up about 4:30 a.m. to an intruder fondling their feet. They wake up. When they woke up, he ran out of the room. They say that in both cases the rooms were on the ground floor. So he's not like Mission Impossibling his way into this hotel. Can you imagine like
wanting to touch someone's feet? I cannot.
So bad. No,
Yeah.
Me either. But let's pretend you're exchanging feet for, I don't know, boobs, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like that's something you can understand, right? You can understand that.
I was trying to wait to see how long it'd take you to figure that out.
But can you imagine like wanting to fondle any pair so badly that you just break into a hotel in the middle of the night?
No.
Yeah. Like how like like this dude has a day job and he's just like so strong and pent up at his job.
Like Carol in accounting shows up and she's wearing like flip flops one day instead of like nice business shoes, and he's just like, I need to leave early, boss. He's like in the parking garage beating off in his own car. And then he drives home and he's like, tonight we're going to the hotel near Lake Tahoe. We're breaking in and touching some feet. Yeah, that's talk about being a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
I hope they catch this guy.
Do you?
Yeah, because I want like someone that disturbed needs to be locked away for a long time. Maybe,
well, here's the thing.
Home.
Here's the thing: is like, when was the last time you were in a hotel?
Oh man, I don't know. It's been a while. It might have been when I interviewed here. Or no, okay. Yeah, it was.
But you've been in a modern hotel.
Yeah.
How hard do you think it would be for someone to break into your room in the middle of the night? Without you noticing.
Oh, it'd be pretty difficult.
Yeah, like these ladies weren't like.
So you're victim blaming.
No. What I'm saying is they weren't awakened by like their door being busted in and him running over there and grabbing their feet. They were woken up by him in the middle of the act.
That's the other weird thing. Oh, I just figured out who this was. It's probably Dave Chappelle. Cancel Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
That's the other weird thing. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I would wake up to someone unless I was totally drunk or had taken like a bunch of sleep meds. I cannot imagine not being woken up by someone like coming in the window, coming through the door. I also make sure to lock the door.
Yeah.
Put that little thingy in. And for someone to get close enough to touch me. And also I assume he's not like touching their feet over the covers, No, you gotta pull that cover back and then touch the feet. So I kind of feel like that there's a whole motion there that's going on.
He's not into shoes, man. He's not into shoes. He's into feet.
Yeah. A fair point. You might be able to get in there, sneak in there and be like, sniff it. They're one of those, they're like, they do the Japanese thing where they take their shoes off right at the door. You just kind of get that door cracked open and grab a shoe. And then you're in the hallway just like, oh yeah. Then you slide it back in there without anybody noticing.
Yeah.
What do you even do with the foot? What is erotic about a foot in any single way?
I don't know.
They're almost, to me, they're as dirty as our hands. But like
if not worse because of
the fact that you don't wash them constantly.
Well, that, but also, women like constantly taking their shoes off everywhere.
I saw a post. I don't remember where it was, but it was like wedding weekend or something, and it was one night in or 2 nights into the wedding weekend, and they like showed pictures of the hotel room, and it looked like a fucking disaster zone. It looked like
Jesus.
a town after a tornado was hit, and
Mhm.
shit just sprawled all around. And then one of the pictures was of one of the people like passed out in the bed, and the bottom of her feet were just fucking black, like she'd been walking
Mhm.
all day on all kinds of different surfaces without shoes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, get some fucking flip flops or sandals for the love of God, bitch.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have any more news stories?
I do. We're gonna move over to a different state. We're moving over to Maryland, where
Land
a
of Fred
local,
Rush.
yeah, a local Maryland man was charged with first-degree murder after he allegedly stole a forklift from a Lowe's home improvement store and then ran a woman over with it in a nearby parking lot of a Home Depot.
All right, we're gonna need someone to check up on Fred Rush. He might have been trying to fulfill his wish of
This
being
is
Uncle Buck.
this is a cross home improvement store murder.
So he
so-
stole the forklift from Lowe's and killed someone at Home Depot.
Yes, he stole the he broke into the Lowe's at like 12:30 in the morning. He stole the forklift and he rammed it through the rear gates, and he drove it about a half mile northeast of the Lowe's to a Home Depot, where he then rammed one of the cars in the parking lot. And unfortunately, in that parking lot was a lady sleeping in her car.
I was gonna ask what she's doing in a fucking Home Depot parking lot at 12:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she
do
was
you think
sleeping in
he
her
like
car.
had something specifically a vendetta against that woman?
Nope, they say that he did not know her. He was just
Okay.
a crazy person. She woke up when
When he
car
started
got
touching her
hit.
feet.
Yeah. She got out of the car and began running away. So he followed her and ran her over with the forklift.
Dear God.
Yeah.
That's rough shit, man.
Uh-huh.
Forklifts are heavy too.
Yeah, I mean I only deal with them, on a regular basis when they're either stationary, stacking boxes,
Mhm.
or moving at such a slow speed that it's easy to get away from them.
Yeah.
Can't imagine one going like top speed, prongs out into a car.
Yeah, and they can get going pretty
Yeah.
pretty good speeds on a straightaway. Man. So he rammed her car, and then he's like, "Oh, that bitch is not getting away," and chased her down.
He GTA, yeah, he GTA'd her.
Forked her real hard.
Uh,
Wow. Do you have any more news stories?
well, I was gonna ask you if you had any.
I've got one here.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Doctors were stunned to find almost an entire octopus lodged down a patient's throat after he complained of having difficulty swallowing. The 55-year-old man was admitted to the hospital after eating a meal that included octopus. He told medics that he had started vomiting immediately after he ate the dish. Health experts at the Tan Tock Seng Hospital in Singapore carried out a scan of his esophagus, and they show an octopus fucking trying to crawl its ass back out of that man. They were left no choice but to do an esophagogastrosduodenoscopy on the patient, and they tried to extract the mass, and that was unsuccessful. And yeah, they dragged this fucking octopus out of him. So I just want to say that's why I'm not fucking eating sushi, Tim.
Hold on though. Hold on, right? I've got some questions, right?
Okay.
If you took a bite of sushi and didn't like it,
Mm-hmm.
and it caused you to then vomit,
Mm-hmm.
how would you wind up later that night at the doctor's office with a whole fish in your throat? That doesn't line up.
No, he ate the whole thing, and then he didn't feel well, and then he vomited, and then he went to the hospital, and they were like, "Sir, you have an octopus inside."
He ate a whole
Sir,
octopus.
Yeah, he put a whole octopus in his mouth and apparently swallowed it without noticing. I feel like this guy is like the deep throat champion of the world.
Goat, the throat goat.
Yeah, some fucked up shit.
Now I've had octopus, like I've had baby octopus, like they're about this big. I can see that getting stuck in someone's throat, but not like a full on hydra of an octopus.
Yeah, a kaiju, if you will. That's
Jesus
the picture down the
Christ.
guy's throat. Fucking coming to get you, Tim.
That's
Horrifying.
octopi are not nice to look at.
No, they're not. Well, no, that I think they're cool looking, like in this ocean or when they're swimming
No,
around.
they're cool looking, but like that picture, I mean, there was nothing in that picture but octopus, and it's disgusting.
Horrifying. It's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Wouldn't wish that on my 17th to worst enemy.
Yeah.
16th
All
to
the
worst,
rest,
though,
yeah,
get
okay.
fucked. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You had one more?
No, that's it for the news this week, I
Well,
believe.
that's it. Well, this has been
Le réseau de nouvelles Rikida, définitivement pas de fausses nouvelles.
our legal obligations, but you know what doesn't take care of, Tim? Getting octopus insurance. And
Yeah.
let's get octopus insurance. You can visit us at subscribestar.com/HWIDG, tip.hwidg.com, and patreon.com/HWIDG, which stands for
Here's what I don't get.
which is the name of the show. And over there, we have 5 tiers. We have the $1 tier, which gets you early access to each week's episode, plus our mini-sodes where you do the random small issues. We have our $2 tier where we throw the random bits and bobs we do now and again. We have our $5 tier where we do our bonus episodes. Here's what I do get. We drop the hate and talk about what's great. We have our $10 tier where you, the fans, submit a film. You vote on what film we watch, and we watch and record a feature-length commentary. And finally, we have our $50 Spike Producer tier where you get a say in the show. You can request a special guest, or you can request a special episode, format change, ban a voicemail, or ban someone from the Discord. Anything you want that we can reasonably fulfill, we will do so. We still have a request for you, me, and Tony to do a volcano commentary, but it's been very difficult to align all 3 of those schedules. So I'll have to get that figured.
Yeah.
So thank you to all of our supporters, big and small, and all the different platforms. Without your support, we would not still be doing this show 346 consecutive weeks running.
Man.
But let's get back into some issues, shall we, Tim? Here's what I don't get. Flopbusters. So I was doing some Indiana Jones came out this past weekend or the weekend before. It came out somewhat recently.
No, it was this weekend, this past weekend.
Yeah, it made like $40 million at the box office or something absurdly small.
Yikes.
And it's allegedly like a $600 million movie.
I think I saw the budget was, it was akin to it, like Avengers Endgame is what I saw.
Yeah, the official budget that's being published for Dial of Destiny is $300 million, but
that's but you got to include marketing and
marketing and all that. But also, they're saying that that number might be being deflated and not counting for like the reshoots they had to do and
of course
things of that nature. So its current worldwide box office gross is $165 million, which makes it the 14th largest movie of the year 2023 so far. I'd just like to point out that Titanic made $70 million this year somehow. And it got me thinking, like, Hollywood is really, really leaning into these 200 million. I remember when it was like these $200 million movies, it was like, I think the first Avengers movie, the 2012 movie, it cost like somewhere $250 million. And it was like,
at the time, huge.
I was like, this is way too much fucking money to make. The Dark Knight Rises was like a $200 million movie. And I was like, oh, wow. And now, Ant-Man Quantumania had a $200 million budget. Ant-Man. and it's just like, it's mind-boggling. The amount of money they're blowing into these movies, to the point where every movie being made has to. So the thing about the Hollywood accounting's fucked. So if a movie has a $100 million budget, you double that because they're going to spend probably about that same amount, another $100 million on marketing.
Marketing, yeah.
So now it's a $200 million budgeted movie. And then when it goes to theaters in the US, internationally, the agreements are even worse. But in the US, they get about 50% of the box office split. Opening weekend, they get like 80. And then the number slowly goes down over the course of the run until towards the end, the theater is getting a lot more of the money, but it averages out to about 50%. So if a movie, they make $100 million movie, they spend $100 million marketing it, they have to make $400 million at the box office to break even. The $401 million, they've made $1 million of profit. So they keep churning out these movies that cost more and more and more money. Fast X, by far the most expensive movie on this list, and I think one of the most expensive movies ever made, $340 million budget. Well, it made $700 million at the international box office, which kind of makes it start to look like it's breaking even, but not really.
No.
When you consider all the marketing that movie went into. And I just have to wonder, like, at what point does someone go, hey, this isn't working, maybe we shouldn't? So I have like the top 16 movies of 2023, and of those, 8 made more than their budget, made more than double their budget back.
And these are the top movies.
And these are the top 16, yeah. And this is also, I'm not accounting for marketing. This is just like straight budget reports.
Yeah.
Mario made $1,351 million on $100 million box office. That seems like a pretty good investment.
Yeah.
For Mario. Guardians of the Galaxy at number 2 made $878 million on a $250 million budget, which does kind of seem like they churned out some profit. It's one of the only profitable Marvel movies. Fast X, $700 million on 340. Spider-Man, $617 million on $100 million box office, which kind of makes me start to think they're just going to dump a bunch of money into fucking animated films.
Yeah, that's what it sounds. I mean, it looks like they're the ones making money.
But then you have Elemental, which made $200 million on a $200 million budget. So
yeah,
and
that got
flop.
Just plopped out there.
And I also, a lot of these, I just don't believe the numbers. The Flash made $250 million. These are all the numbers are worldwide. This is not in the US. This is all the money they could possibly make.
Yeah.
The Flash made $250 million,
which is hilarious.
Yeah. On a $220 million budget, which I think they're lowballing.
Oh, of course, because that movie has been in development for 20 years.
No, I wouldn't go that far. It's been, when did Justice League come out? 2017? 2018?
Yeah.
It's been since then. Like, it was supposed to be the big follow-up to Justice.
They switched directors and writers and director-writers and writer-directors like 5, 6, 7 times.
Yeah, and shot and re-edited.
Yeah.
John Wick made $427 million on a $100 million budget. It seems like a pretty solid outlier. Creed made $275 million at number 9 on a $75 million budget. Evil Dead at number 15 made $146 million at 19 on a $19 million budget. Like,
that's a good one there.
When I'm looking at all these things that are like under 10, they seem, I guess under like 12, things start to kind of even out where the budget numbers are getting low and the box offices are getting high. And you know, when you look at a movie like Dial of Destiny, which it's made, what did I say, $165 million, which is mind blowing. That, like, this is the breadth of what has happened to Lucasfilm in 10 years. Like, when did they announce the buyout? 2012, 2013?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
In 10 years, they have fucking run Lucasfilm. They have run every property they have into the ground at warp speed. Fucking Indiana Jones should have made a bunch of money purely by virtue of being an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah. How much advertising have you seen for Indiana Jones?
So fucking much.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't got a hit of it.
Oh, I've seen so many fucking Indiana Jones advertisement things. And then you have all the YouTubers that are trying to like pivot off the new movie coming out. Yeah, I had to block a bunch of Indiana Jones accounts on Instagram because that was all the ads I was
Yeah.
getting for a while.
Yeah.
You
are also way more into those movies than I am.
Into
I
Indiana
thought-
Jones.
Yeah.
I'm into 2 of them.
Yeah. But I would figure like just by budget alone, I would be getting like I like you said Guardians 3 had a lower budget.
Guardians 3 had a $250 million budget.
I mean, and I remember when that was coming out, it was just, couldn't escape the ads for that movie.
Yeah. A Fast X was like that too. I saw so much.
Even
stuff
Fast
for
X, I've seen more Fast X than I did Indiana Jones movies, and I think that my time would have been better spent in 3 hours last weekend watching Fast X than it was Dial of Destiny.
Oh, Fast X is amazing. I love Fast. I love
Dial of Destiny was a 3-hour snooze fest.
I love Fast X so much that I pre-ordered the Blu-ray, and I was upset that it wasn't going to get here until the end of the year. So much that I texted into our group text with Truckin' and Tuckin' where I was like, "This is bullshit." I love Fast X so much. I bought Fast and Furious 9, which I did not like.
Okay, because I would like run it back if I could, but in the group text, like you were like, I'm guys, I'm gonna watch Fast X. I'll let you know how it is, and then you were like, this is kind of I think you're like I'm not loving this.
It started out, and I was like, this movie's bad. I don't like it.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not loving this, and then all I remember, the last thing I remember you saying is like, I got to go see the next one.
No,
I guess it didn't come over.
It didn't come across the text. I got to the end of that movie, and I was like, "When does Fast 11 come out? And when can I get tickets?" And it was like April 2024. I'm like, April 2024. What? No, April 2025. I think I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
I gotta go back to movie theaters to watch the next Fast and Furious movie. Tim, that's how good Fast X was.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta see if Truckin' and Tuckin' has seen it yet, and if not, we should.
You guys should watch it together.
Yeah.
Or we could do one of these and watch it. I can stream.
That would be pretty sweet.
I'd watch it again. Yeah, we could start doing remote movie night. In any case, back to off this stupid tangent. Disney is hemorrhaging money. Disney has been kicked in the teeth a lot.
Oh, did you see the leak?
No.
Sorry, another tangent. Okay. Someone leaked all of Disney's shell companies.
Oh wow.
And there's some in there that are like, oh, okay. I didn't know they owned Remax.
I don't know that either.
Yeah.
And so that's like Little Mermaid allegedly made $529 million on a $250 million budget.
That's barely breaking even.
That's barely breaking even. And also, I think that Disney figured out a way to inject money into their box office totals somewhere around Black Panther and Captain Marvel, like to make these movies seem bigger than they are. And the same with Avatar. Like, I don't know anybody who saw Avatar 2, but it apparently made like $1 billion. And so the same way with Little Mermaid, it made $500 million worldwide, made $250 million in the US box office. I don't know a single fucking person that went and saw it. Not one person, not even Black people. So it's like, and the fucking Disney live action shit, they're so bad, and they just keep churning them out. But like, I look at Disney, they're getting kicked in the teeth with like, Ant-Man, Thor: Love and Thunder, Elemental. They're really not having a good time. No. It's like you spent $300 million on an Indiana Jones movie that nobody wanted. No, Harrison Ford didn't want to do it. The audience doesn't want it. Like I think like Indiana Jones cachet has really disappeared since Crystal Skull. That was almost 20 years ago that Crystal Skull came out.
Yeah, 15.
And 2005.
It was 2005.
2004, 2005, I think.
Crystal Skull? No.
Yeah.
Crystal Skull came out when we were in high school.
Then maybe was it 2008?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So I guess it's only like 15 years.
Yeah.
But in any case, it came out quite a bit ago, and people didn't like that movie a lot. And so they kind of like lost interest in the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're like, yeah, let's do another one. It'll be the last one had a nice little button-up happy ending. Well, we'll have our own new happy ending, and we'll introduce a new female character, which everyone hates that trope now.
Mhm.
And we'll make it all. It'll just all be digital. We'll digitally DH Harrison Ford. Have you seen the pictures of like the Harrison Ford mask they put on stuntmen that look like real flesh? Creepy as shit. And so then, of course, like it's not found an audience. It's like, you could have taken that $300 million. With that $300 million, you could have made 6 Evil Deads.
Yep.
Right? No, you could have made 15 Evil Deads. 15 Evil Deads.
And it sounds like those made
They made $146 million each.
Well, so minus the budget, that's a $100 million profit.
Yeah.
So you turn times 15.
Yeah, $1.5 billion instead of $0.
Yeah.
And like this is kind of what I think killed the superhero genre, was that the movies all got to be too big.
They're all worldwide extinction event level
Yeah.
stories, aside from, but also like I think like you have a big budget, you have to go big with the story, because like what else are you gonna spend the money on?
Yeah. And I don't think that bigger is necessarily better.
No.
The Dark Knight versus The Dark Knight Rises. There's a big budget gap there as far as like what each movie costs, but
Mhm.
The Dark Knight is by far the better film because
Yeah.
I think that constraint breeds creativity.
It does. It always does.
In ways that just like that's why the prequels all suck, is because everyone was just like, yeah, that sounds great, George. Make him have a 50s diner in space and he'll have 4 arms. It'll be awesome. Like, sure, introduce a new bad guy for the 3rd movie in a row.
Yeah.
Instead of having one bad guy that's like actually threatening because you keep getting rid of them right away. And so those movies, like, they're just bland, which is, I think, the worst thing a movie can be, is bland. And that, when I look at, like, did you know that Transformers Rise of the Beast came out already?
Yeah, because some of my cat food coworkers went to go see it when we were in
St. Louis.
In St. Louis.
Yeah, $386 million on a $200 million budget. Why are they still making those? I don't remember how many of those have come out and come and gone since the last time I watched one was.
Probably 3.
Yeah,
I would guess.
But they just gotta keep trimming out. That D&D movie made $208 million on a $150 million budget. Like, why are you making a D&D movie with $150 million?
Yeah, I was. It didn't seem like a $150 million movie. I mean, other than the fact. So I will say, like, that movie is very fast paced.
Yeah,
and that might have, with how much CG is in it, like now it's like, you're in a forest, you're in an ice cavern, you're in a desert, you're in a lava pool, you're underground, you're on the moon. It's you know what I mean. Like that must, like, just asset wise,
yeah,
probably a lot. But
I watched The Martian today,
and
that movie is like a big sci-fi movie. I don't know if it was a success or not.
I think it was, yeah.
But it was really good.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the last time that I watched like a really good movie that was modern and not tied to anything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I look at this and Shazam sequel, Dial of Destiny sequel, Elemental original property from Pixar, D&D adaptation, The Flash sequel, Rise of the Beast sequel, Ant-Man sequel, Mermaid remake, Spider-Man sequel, Fast X sequel, Guardians of the Galaxy sequel, Mario adaptation, John Wick sequel, Creed sequel, Scream sequel, Evil Dead sequel, top 16 movies. None of them are an original concept.
Well, one original concept, I guess, the Elemental.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of an original concept. But it's just like it's a
the
Pixar movie,
it's the barest of bones of concepts. Like, what if fire and ice had to be together?
And so Yeah, it's just like everyone's tired of this. You could like the first John Wick in 2014. It was like a 30-40 million dollar movie. I don't remember what the exact, but it
Yeah.
cost almost nothing to make comparatively. The studio gave it no marketing, and it made like $100 million. It was enough of a success to warrant a sequel, but it took them a couple years to make a sequel because where
Yes.
it really caught on was in streaming. Everyone was like, this John Wick movie is fucking incredible. Like that's how I didn't know about it when it came out.
It was pretty.
Fucking
I would say it was underground until like 3 came out.
yeah,
Like two made a decent splash, but I think like 1 and 2 like were like these 2 movies are like it's it's like they're sleeper hits.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them,
they came out
and the
of
second
nowhere.
one's awesome also.
Kind of like The Equalizer.
Yeah, but 2 is not good.
Yeah, and it's an
Have you seen the
adaptation.
trailer for 3?
I heard that there's going to be a 3.
There's a trailer for 3 out.
I'll
It
watch
looks
it.
like it looks a little more akin to 1, I will say.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Because 2 was kind of a piece of crap.
it kind of was.
I just like at a certain point you have to go, well, they took a little bit of a risk. That they're taking a $20 million risk and coming out with a $40 million profit at the end of the day, versus taking a $200 million, $300 million risk and losing all your money. At
Yeah.
what point do they start to pause and say, well, what if we made 15 small movies
Hmm.
and we got some good actors, and we had like The Martian is an adaptation of a book, but it wasn't a sequel to anything. What if we just and we got some good actors and we got a good script, but I don't think anyone in Hollywood is capable of like that pattern recognition anymore.
No.
And even though everyone's been calling this, like when they announced that they were going to make a new Indiana Jones movie, everyone went, "Oh, this movie's going to fucking fail at the box office."
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Yeah, we got to stay the course." The Flash movie, it's like, this is not a good idea, and fucking here it is, making $250 million on an alleged $220 million budget, and I guarantee you, 200 of that $250 million was people wanting to go see Batman.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wanted to go fucking see Ezra Miller, especially not
No.
Ezra Miller in 2 roles.
Yeah.
And so it almost seems like what they're trying to do is whereas they used to be like, we're going to try and make a movie for $45 and make $1 billion out of it, and then like rub that in the face of all the other studio executives, like, all right, well, we're gonna make a $300 million movie and not even make $100 million, so fuck you.
Yeah.
They're like, it's a race to the bottom with them, as if we lose enough money, I'm worried that we're gonna have a Hollywood bailout in the next 5 or 10 years, where it'll be like, Hollywood's failing, we need to spend $1 billion of government money to prop them all up. Like, no, fucking let them die.
Yeah.
They fucking built this house of cards that's collapsing on themselves of not doing anything interesting for a decade now. Like, no one can write an original movie to save their lives, and if they do, it goes straight to Netflix, and nobody ever hears about it.
Yeah.
And I would really like to see a movie that's crafted. John Wick was a movie that was crafted. Nobody was an original movie, kind of an unoriginal concept, and it was like the creative team that brought you John Wick.
Yeah.
But it was, I like went into that suspicious and was pleased. I would like to be able to go and be suspicious and be pleased more, and not just just write off a whole Fast X. I went in suspicious and I was pleased. But of these 16 movies, John Wick, Fast X, that's it. That's what I want to see of the top 16 movies of the year so far. Creed 3, I'll maybe check out. It's after I've watched all the Rocky movies eventually. Scream 6, I might check out around Halloween when I'm looking for something to do. I've never seen any of the Evil Dead, so I don't really give a shit about that. I'm fucking more likely to go see Titanic. Star Wars 6, Return of the Jedi, made $7 million this year in the United States. How is that possible?
I don't know.
They're making. When we were talking about it, Titanic made $15 million in the United States. That's 1 million people. That's 1 million people went and saw Titanic this year. Fucking why?
So I'm gonna. So I typed in it real quick. I just typed in like top films 2023, and I wanted to look at some of the ones that weren't, sequels.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why this is on the top films of 2023. Other than it must have decent reviews. Because did you know Guy Ritchie put out a movie this year?
Nope.
Did you know it stars Jason Statham as basically James Bond?
No.
That sounds like an interesting premise.
I'd watch
I'd
that.
at least give that a couple of minutes to watch.
That Wrath the Man that he did like last
Yeah.
year. that
Totally
was
fine movie.
fucking, yeah, perfectly fine. It was
Yes.
enjoyable. I think we watched it all the way to the end.
Yep. The Guy Ritchie movie, it's called Operation Fortune. Came out this year, had a budget of 50 million, made 38.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I didn't even go deep into the like real flops because there are some real fucking flops.
Oh,
this
I
year.
bet.
Like
Yeah.
movies that got made on $30 or $40 million budgets and $1 million budgets and made fuck all.
Yeah.
It's these giant blockbusters that are supposed to be the top of the list and are just like you have a 50% chance of making back your production budget unless you make something like Mario.
Yeah.
And once again, Hollywood will learn all the wrong lessons. They'll do more animated films. They'll just make more shit. They'll just keep churning out shit.
Here's a flop that I had no idea about. Did you know Ben Affleck is in a mystery action thriller that had a budget of $65 million, directed by and written by Robert Rodriguez?
Nope.
Box office of 6.7 million.
I think I did actually hear about it, and that's the biggest flop of the year. Because I was looking up flops, and it's like, oh yeah, there's not a list of the biggest flops. I'm like, well, why not?
Why not?
There should be a list. The same way you Box Office Mojo, because Box Office Mojo used to have the gross and the budget. Doesn't have the budget anymore. I had to go like individually look up the budget of all 16 of these movies, which is really fucking annoying.
The Pope's Exorcist, the Russell Crowe movie, 75 million. It made 75 million on a budget of 18 million. That's a
fucking success.
Yeah.
See, if you there's a line in The Patriot: aim small, miss small.
Yes.
Aim for a button and you'll still hit the man. Aim for a man and you may miss and hit a tree.
Yes.
Fucking start making $20 million like. And that's the thing is that they'll still make $20 million films, but they won't make like $60 million films.
Mm-hmm.
You go from a $20 million, you make a couple as a director now, you make a couple of $20 million sleeper hits.
Yes.
And then they're like, all right, you're going to direct the next Marvel movie, or you're going to manage the DC universe, or you're going to do something. And here's $200 million. And so you can't like go climb up this ladder of slightly bigger films until you're making something huge.
Unless like you purposefully, like that Adam Driver dinosaur movie, like that's
$5 million.
Yeah, that's a 2-character movie. You know what I mean? Like on purpose.
Yeah. Apparently, it's extremely bad.
The budget for that's gonna be low. There's 2 people in the movie. You know.
That's the other thing. Is like, I wish. I was reading about John Wick 4 and about like the John Wick franchise and about some of these movies that are coming out now. And it's like we live in a world where John Wick exists. And I rewatched the movies this past weekend.
Yeah.
I watched the first movie on the first and the second movie on the second, etc., and so on and so forth. And I was watching 3 and the hallway fight with the axes and the knives was done all as like one long take with. Basically, they just did it a couple of times.
Oh, like 3 different angles. Yeah.
And there's a point where Keanu's fighting this guy, and he's like obviously tired. In the shot, he is tired.
Yes.
But
everyone's tired in that shot.
But it works because you would be.
Yeah.
And whereas in the Matrix everything was cut, you like go like 3 blocks and then you cut and you do like another couple of things and then you cut. And so there was never tired. Like there's a realism in there. And that amount of realism, like I know in my head, all the glass in those shots is fake.
Yes.
They're just doing this into nothing, and then they add in the sound and the digital glass, and it falls, and they grab the knives. The blades are all fucking fake. There's a lot of CG in that sequence, but none of it matters because at the core, it's grounded in reality. The reality being, we just fucking sat this camera on a tripod and watched these guys punch each other for 3 minutes, and they're fucking exhausted as they would be. And so much of the movie is based on like the minimal amount of realism as that. That's why Nobody was so shockingly good as a movie, because it's like, here's Bob Odenkirk, he was Saul Goodman, and in my head I'm like, oh, here's another Taken situation.
Yes,
where that's all fucking Liam Neeson has done ever since Taken, is just make more Takens where he's like an action hero who's put together entirely by editing.
Yes,
and it's like, if you just made movies that were grounded like this and took a little bit more discipline, and you shot in real places instead of trying to do everything in front of a fucking green screen and trying to, digitally de-age all your characters, instead of making another Indiana Jones movie, what if you made another movie inspired by 40 serials of an adventurer? What if you could just make another movie where it was like Indiana Jones, but he's not Indiana Jones. People might go see that. You go make one for like $35 million with some lesser known actor and go film in Sri Lanka or somewhere that nobody gives a fuck about. And there are no union regulations. And then when that movie makes $100 million at the box office, hey, we made a little bit of money. Let's make another one. Let's make this one for $45 million and see if you can build a franchise out of nothing. Because George Lucas's ideas weren't original. What if we made Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai in space? Or not, it's not Seven Samurai. Whichever fucking samurai movie. What if we made it in space? What if I took all this fucking hokey religion shit and synthesized into his own deal? What if we made it was like a sci-fi serial from the 40s? What if we made an action adventure serial from the 40s?
Yeah.
The man is creatively bankrupt, but he was really good at synthesis, where he'd pull from a bunch of stuff and put it together and make it look like he had his own original idea. And none of these fucking actors, none of these writers and directors can do that anymore. They can't you could just make another space monk fighting movie, and if you did it well, and not like a fucking Bruce Willis boomer shooter where you try and do it for the most minimal amount of budget you possibly can. You gotta go for a mid-budget. Take a fucking risk. Take a risk. Stop making $300 million movies that nobody wants to see. Stop. There was a time where just Pixar popped up on the screen, and I was like, I'll go see it.
Yep.
They had a stellar record. They had every single movie they made was great. And even ones that I was skeptical of, like The Good Dinosaur. People shit all over The Good Dinosaur, but and you knew exactly what The Good Dinosaur was going to be walking in. But it was well done enough that that it was enjoyable. And then there have been so many Pixar movies in the last 5 years that I didn't even know existed. Hey, did you hear about the one about where they're jazz musicians? I'm like, that sounds like that'd be perfect for me. I love jazz, like Pixar movies. And I saw a trailer. Soul, was right?
Soul, yeah.
And I was like, ooh, no. And then this Elemental, it was like, Elemental's a huge flop. What the fuck is Elemental? A Pixar. Poor guys. These are the same people that made WALL-E, one of my all-time favorite movies ever. And by all-time favorite movies, I mean the first half of WALL-E.
Yeah, the
silent
before the humans. Yeah.
The first 7 minutes of Up, which is a cinematic masterpiece. This is the same studio. The same studio made Toy Story, one of my absolute favorite movies as a child, which had a Toy Story 2.
I don't know how many times I watched that movie growing up, dude.
Yeah. Toy Story 3, which had a beautiful ending to the series. And then they're like, we're making Toy Story 4. Why? Who asked for that? And they're like, what if in Toy Story 4 we abandoned all of the things that Woody believed? What if we just took that character and threw away absolutely everything that made him a character? It's like, thanks. I hate this. Woody's going to be selfish and run out and be on his own instead of like looking
Yeah.
after a kid, which is like literally all he exists to be. It's
Like, you
his
could've-
single motivating factor as a character for 3 fucking films. For 3 fucking films, that's all he cares about.
Yeah.
And then they're like, what if in the 4th one he didn't care about that anymore? Where the fuck did that come from?
It's like,
And they're also making a Toy Story 5.
of course they are.
Son of a bitch.
Like, would that money be much better spent on like a Rex and Ham buddy cop movie?
That would be an amazing movie, Tim. I would watch
Or-
the shit out of Rex and Ham Buddy Cops.
Or a Mr. Potato spy thriller? Think about it.
Why are we
Think about
writing
it.
for Hollywood?
Mission Impossible, but with Mr. Potato Head.
You can like swap out gadgets for his
Yes.
different things. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. There's but they're like, well, we can't take a risk on a T-Rex and Ham buddy cop movie. That'll never work. We'll have to do an Incredibles 2 where we abandon all of the premise of the original film. And then have a massive flop on our hands. Yeah, it's like I swear they're racing to the bottom. They're trying to create a crisis of American filmmaking, and fucking Joe Biden or whoever's president in 4 or 5 years will get out on fucking television in the Oval Office, be like, hands are my fellow Americans. Our great American art form of film is dying. The Hollywood studios have come into this crisis of filmmaking. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? A great American art form. All movies today are made to be in China.
Yeah.
All movies have to go through a filter of what's going to fucking sell in China. So eat my ass. If the Chinese don't want to fucking watch it, blow me. Start making movies for Americans. Start making movies that Americans want to see. And then when China's like, yeah, we don't like this movie because we don't like your Mulan because it has ghosts and shit in it. We don't like ghosts and shit. It's like, well, hey, you know what? Fuck you, China. Mulan's our movie. It's our American ass movie. Fuck you. It's our American movie. It's just like how we do food. We're taking your culture and we're turning it into our own fucking animated movies. And guess what? Then we're going to get in our boats. We're going to sail asses over there, and we're going to make some men out of you motherfuckers. That's what fucking Hollywood needs to say. But no, they're over there just like, what you want more sequels to superhero schlock? Whatever you want, China. Oh, we have to make the Chinese save Matt Damon in The Martian because God forbid fucking America should save him as is. That way we can sell this movie in fucking China. Fuck you. Fucking build a wall. Build a wall around China. They've already got one. Fucking finish the whole thing. Fuckers. So that's my issue, Flopbusters. And that wraps it up for this week's episode of Here's What I Don't Get. I'm Tab Burt.
I'm Jim the Handlebreaker.
We'll catch you guys next week.
See ya.
Actually, we have this one too. If you want to call the Here's What I Get hotline, call us at 704-750-9434 and tell us what you don't get. Or you can visit us on the Discord under voicemail upload. We have a channel there. Unfortunately, because we're recording this episode like 4 days earlier than normal, we don't have any new voicemails. So we're just going to have to wrap up the episode right here. Is there anything more you want to say to the people? Where are you headed next?
Unfortunately, to the great state of Texas, in the
Oh,
middle of July.
are you going to Houston?
No.
Oh, Houston's the worst. You're going to Austin, aren't you?
Yeah.
I've never been there.
It's going to be real weird.
Yeah, they try and keep it that way.
Yeah.
Well, have a happy week, everybody. This one's going to come out way early. Hope you enjoy it. Bye-bye.